Hello and welcome back to the Healthcare Uncomplicated YouTube channel. Before I go ahead and proceed with another episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get all this amazing content every week. And today, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Jon Belsher. He's an healthcare executive, an advisor and board member, also a former CEO and a former White House representative. Jon, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for accepting my invite. So, nice to see you again.
Likewise.
And today we are here to discuss the topic, the differences between working for a startup versus working in a more mature company. And the first question that I have for you, Jon, is what are the main differences in work culture and environment between a startup and a mature company?
It's a great question. Both have their differences and both have their advantages and perhaps disadvantages. Not surprisingly, in a startup environment, the culture is very fluid. You're wearing multiple hats. Innovation is prized and recognized. In a more mature company environment, the roles are more or better defined. There are specific tasks you're working on. Innovation, while prized, may not be the priority.
Oh, brilliant. And wearing different hats in a startup, especially when in very early days, that's certainly a very common factor. Sometimes it's just the two or three founders to start with. And how do you see in terms of prioritizing the first hirings? What do you think is important for a startup going forward?
Yeah, hires in a startup are critical. You're not only looking for specific skill sets, but you're really looking for flexibility. This is the type of role or environment that fits an individual well who likes to roll up their sleeves and jump in. Someone who's very comfortable with wearing multiple hats and not necessarily just focusing on a specific task. This is for ambitious individuals who think outside the box and really want to push the envelope.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jon. Moving on, in terms of career growth and opportunities for innovation, all the dynamics between startups and more mature companies pan out. What are the main dynamics?
In the startup environment, careers can advance rapidly. So if a company does exceedingly well and you're part of the founding group or early group in, and you've worn multiple hats and your company is successful, that can mean a meteoric rise for your career. You're recognized as part of the early team. You have a successful product or solution or company. And that can immediately lead to promotions, not only within the startup company itself, but outside of the company. The pattern typically in a more mature company, as many know, is a more predictable pattern of career progression based upon specific responsibilities and achievements over time. Advancements may not happen as rapidly as they can in a startup company, but in both cases, people advance, their careers generally advance. The main difference being they can advance at different rates, if you will, with the startup environment potentially being much faster than a more mature company.
Yeah, that's certainly a big difference there. And also, you mentioned that in different words, if the startup is successful, things can really progress quite fast, and the levels of responsibility, of course, increase with team hires and everything.
Absolutely. And I'll just add that to your point, excellent point. As you excel in a startup environment and you're recognized for your accomplishments and achievements, undoubtedly you will get involved in more and be asked to do more. It's not unlike in a mature company, but obviously with fewer people in a startup environment traditionally, there's going to be more opportunity to do more things, and especially more things outside of your particular area of expertise.
The next question is, when considering factors like risk tolerance and job stability and work-life balance, What are the contrasting aspects between working for a startup versus a more mature company?
That's an excellent question. The risk reward balance or equation in a startup environment, not surprisingly, is weighted more heavily towards risk. Although the reward, if a company does well, can be quite significant. So you have to have a tolerance for the risk reward in a startup company, recognizing that many will not be successful, but there are some that will be exceedingly successful. So it's high risk, high reward, and that's something you need to understand as you're contemplating a role in a startup company. To the contrary, in a more established or mature company, the risk is potentially going to be less. The reward is potentially going to be less in terms of perhaps career progression, monetary compensation, etc.
Thank you so much, John. Is there anything that you want to ask to add in here about um, the contrast and the dynamics, or any experiences, or anything that is relevant for this conversation?
I think for every individual, you have to ask yourself, where are you most comfortable? Where do you feel like you can excel? What's your risk reward tolerance, if you will? Both environments are extremely gratifying, if you will, but they demand a different type of perspective and involvement. There are many people like myself who have worked both in the early stage or startup environment and in the more mature company environment. They both have their pros and cons, if you will. And it's not surprising that many people will move between the two, or they will perhaps start earlier in their career in the startup environment when their risk tolerance may be higher, and then over time shift to more mature models.
Mm, brilliant. Is there anything that you want to shed some light around failure, dynamics, recipes for success, anything like that around the startup world? I certainly had a few failures myself, so but it would be good to highlight a couple of points there.
Absolutely. So, in the startup environment, which I'm terribly passionate about, you have an opportunity to craft a company from the ground up. You have an opportunity to impact what a company is ultimately going to look like, what type of people are hired. You have an opportunity to define the culture out of the gate. All these type of things for a person like me are terribly exciting. So if you tend to be on the creative side and you like to scale and you like to wear multiple hats, startup environment is a great environment to be involved in. To me, the startup environment asks a lot of individuals in terms of thinking outside the box, wearing multiple hats, being ambitious. I will add, and you asked this earlier, can lead to longer work hours. Work hours are perhaps not as well defined as they would be in a more mature company. But for the right individual who's ambitious, energetic, wants to roll up their sleeves, help craft something that ultimately they're part of and look back with great pride on what they've built, the startup environment's a dynamic environment.
Brilliant. John, thank you so much for highlighting all of these important aspects and these dynamics. It's certainly a very interesting conversation. I'm also very passionate about startups, and certainly the healthcare industry and digital health, where we both are linked to, is a very dynamic industry, and we see a lot of good companies doing extremely well. We also see a lot of companies not doing well because the market, I think, this is my perspective anyway, is getting a bit harder and harder to be successful, because there is more competition. There is the big players kind of shrinking the market, and this is harder to create a product market fit from the outset. So I see, I don't know how you see it, but I see the competition in the market itself to be um, harder with over time.
Undoubtedly, I think there are a lot of entries or new companies entering the healthcare market for obvious reasons. I think there's a lot of potential in healthcare. We have a great opportunity to improve the way healthcare is delivered and the type of healthcare we're delivering. So I think there's a lot of opportunities with that, of course, comes a lot of people with different ideas on just how to approach improving healthcare, if you will. The great thing in my mind is that with all the ideas coming to the table or to fruition to try to solve and improve healthcare, we're seeing some great ideas across the board. Will they all be successful? No. But the best ones, the ones with the highest utility, the best return on investment, the most practicality, I think those are the ones that surge ahead. Capital is tightening. Consolidations are increasing in healthcare. So it is challenging to be in the sector, but at the same time, there's a lot of fertile ground for companies that are bringing successful products and solutions to market to succeed.
Brilliant. Jon, thank you so much for your time, this amazing input and expertise. I have one last kind of question, which I'm looking for like a short answer. It's related to the channel, and it is, how can we make healthcare uncomplicated?
Did you say or ask how do we make healthcare
Oh, yeah, yeah,
uncomplicated?
yeah.
How much time do I have? Excellent question. I'll relay an anecdote that I share with colleagues and friends and family members. I've been in healthcare over 30 years myself as a practicing physician, a startup founder and employee, and an administrative physician, a physician executive. So even with over 30 years in our healthcare system, at times when I have family members, friends, or colleagues reach out for guidance, advice, et cetera, for their personal healthcare needs, I am challenged at times to help them navigate today's healthcare system. And to me, that's really unacceptable, because if someone like me with my background and experience has challenges navigating people through our system, how can we possibly expect others without those experiences to do the same? So yes, we have to lessen the complication around navigating the healthcare system. It absolutely is a priority. My take is, with a lot of the med tech and health tech solutions coming to market, our goal is really to streamline that experience, that navigation, so that people can move through the healthcare system more seamlessly and easily. It's particularly important because, as I have relayed to my employees and colleagues over the years, it's one thing to try and navigate it when you're well, like with you and me sitting here today. But obviously, when people are trying to navigate it, they aren't feeling 100%. They're under the weather. And the last thing they need to worry about is how to navigate through the healthcare system. So I didn't give you the answer to it. I don't think it's one simple thing, but I think it should stay at the forefront of what we're trying to do in healthcare. It's critically important.
No, brilliant, Jon. Thank you so much, because you gave a very humanistic but a realistic answer about what's really happening. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
It's my pleasure.
Jon, nice to see you. I'm gonna round up now, but thank you so much again for your expertise, for your magnificent insights, and for your time and for your work to move the industry forward.
Well, thank you, and I'll say to you quickly, thank you for everything you're doing. I've said to many people, it's not going to be one person that obviously changes the system. It's going to take all of us. All of us will have different roles and responsibilities and ideas. There's so many seats at the table to make changes in healthcare, and it's just such an exciting time to be involved with people like you in affecting change in this big system.
Brilliant, Jon. Thank you so much once again, and to all our viewers and listeners, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also acknowledge our channel partners, and I'm gonna post Jon's LinkedIn and socials in here. Engage with him, ask him questions, and I'll see you all next time.